Hi there Gemini, I'm EllaAradia and welcome to your October 2025 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Gemini air signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's going to resonate a little bit differently for all of you. Although what I do find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Gemini signs. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoyed this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. And then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Gemini, let's jump in. I always like to just tune into the energies a little bit before I actually start pulling cards. I'm feeling some very transitional energies and a little bit of indecision. And to me it feels like there is a little bit of a conflict around walking a new path and potentially maybe having to leave something or somebody behind. And I do feel a lot of indecision right now, Gemini, and I get the sense for many of you this may have something to do with a location change, and I feel like that is where there is, a little bit of conflict inside of you right now. So with your overall energies, we have the Ten of Swords, an ending of a chapter, the beginning of a new one, but sometimes with the Ten of Swords energies, that can be, a difficult ending, one that maybe is painful in some way. There may be some sadness involved. For some of you, betrayal. But there is a new beginning in this card, because when you look at the card, the dawn is breaking in the background. And it is a reminder always that, with every ending, there is the seed of a new beginning. And this is what I'm feeling here, these real kind of energies of, some kind of transition. And what lies in your recent past is the Eight of Swords. I definitely feel like, this is something that you're feeling pretty stuck about right now, as the Eight of Swords, it represents like being stuck or feeling stuck in our thoughts, and not really perhaps seeing the way forwards just yet. And the invitation, as always with that card, is to remember that you're never stuck. These are just thoughts. Sometimes it's limiting beliefs that holds us back. Because for some of you, I feel like this next step might involve leaving behind, loved ones. It may be a new opportunity in love, career, that involves, some kind of location change is what I just keep on seeing. And that might take you away from perhaps loved ones for some of you. And the invitation here, I always feel, is about getting out of your mind and getting into your heart. And really, listening to what your heart's saying in this. Because sometimes, we do get caught up in our own heads and limiting beliefs. And very often we kind of go down this path like it has to be one or the other. And sometimes there are other possibilities that we haven't thought about, and it's just about being open to, maybe there's a way to have it all here. And then just, be open to that possibility and let the universe work its magic. because sometimes things can happen in ways, that we can't really see yet. And with your current energies, we have the Devil. And again, this is a card of breaking free from what you no longer truly feel aligned with here, Gemini. It's, it's a card often that represents, unhealthy patterns, behaviors, connections. It can be sometimes an obsessional energy. But ultimately, it is a card of breaking free from, whatever is limiting you at this time. And that's what that Eight of Swords is all about. Getting stuck in those limiting negative beliefs. And sometimes these are beliefs about life, about ourselves. And with the Devil there, I do feel like that is a call to perhaps face whatever these internal shadows are, because ultimately, Gemini, this is about you stepping back into your power and taking your power. Your feelings towards your situation, we have the Four of Wands. This is a card of a milestone, and when I feel into the energies of this card, we have the Four Wands there, which actually represent some kind of gateway. And the question is, are you going to step through it? Are you going to take that step, whatever this new path is that's opening up for you? I feel for many of you, this might be a new connection in love, where there is a moment where we come to a point where things really need to go to the next level here, because the Four of Wands is this milestone energy. It often represents a time of emotional contentment, moving in together, a commitment of some sort, something that leads to that happiness and that stability. And this is what I'm kind of feeling here. This may involve taking a step and, changing your location. It may involve going to be where they are or moving somewhere together. And for some of you, this might be a new opportunity in your career in some way. And, let's just look at the challenge. So in the challenge position, we have the Eight of Pentacles. And I definitely feel like this is what's kind of going around in your minds right now, really looking at, what step do I take here? Who or what am I going to really invest my energies in moving forwards? Because the Eight of Pentacles is all about putting the work into something or somebody in order to, receive something back long term. It's definitely about, making that commitment, putting that work in, investing your energy. And with your hidden influence, the Knight of Swords, I feel like there's something that you are definitely needing to make a decision on here, Gemini. Knight of Swords is a very fast-moving energy, and it's all about making some kind of movement, some decision. But I definitely feel that this is a decision that, you really need to connect to your heart energies on here, because the caution here with the Knight of Swords, it's very much that kind of bull in a china shop energy, and it's really important to, think before acting. And I feel make sure that you have all the information, all the facts to make your decision. But also it's about tapping into what your heart wants in this situation. because I do feel what is at stake is, you know, your long-term happiness. And for many of you, I just keep feeling that, you know, this is some kind of new offer in love. But it may involve letting go of a place, a situation, a person perhaps for some of you that is no longer in alignment with, you know, what your heart truly wants moving forwards. And with your advice from the universe, the Five of Cups, often a card when we are looking back on the past and looking at, you know, what has been lost, regret. But sometimes with this card, you know, we can get a little bit too focused on the what, you know, what has been lost in the past, you know, the could have beens. So for some of you, you know, this is perhaps a connection that you're letting go of, a job, a place. But with the devil there, you know, for me, it feels like something which, like I said, it's something that was unhealthy in some way, something that, you know, was no longer fulfilling for you in some way, that really, you know, is something you need to break free from, even if that is a little bit challenging. And so the thing here with the Five of Cups is, you know, you look back on the past and use that as an opportunity to, you know, really see things for how they were, understand perhaps that sometimes things do end because there is a different path for us to walk. So it's a little bit like the two cups in the picture here that are still standing. You know, there is something more for you, and there is something to still be salvaged moving forward. You know, the two cups are the new opportunities, the new love, the new career, or whatever that is for you. You know, these are the blessings and the possibilities that are still there from whatever this difficult ending might be for you. And in your advice, we have the Sun, which is a card of success, clarity. So clarity is going to come on this. And the way that you are going to get to that, I still very, very strongly feel, is about really listening to your heart and being brutally honest with, you know, what your heart tells you in this situation in terms of, you know, what your next step is. Because I do feel the universe has really brought in, you know, this transitional energy, because you're meant to walk a different path. And with the Sun here, you know, for me, this just feels very much, it's about trusting, you know, even if you don't see the whole, you know, the whole path just yet, you don't know perhaps the ultimate outcome. It's about, you know, just really stepping into this next chapter with an open heart, and approach it a little bit like this child in the picture here, you know, with that innocence, with that curiosity and that openness. Because I do feel that, you know, if you can embrace this, it will lead to that Four of Wands and that happiness for you. And, you know, for those of you that does perhaps involve leaving perhaps family or loved ones for some kind of, you know, new chapter in your life or possibility, just be open to the possibility that perhaps it doesn't have to be one or the other, that maybe there is a way to somehow make all of that work, and just let the universe work its magic here. So Gemini, I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels best for you. So thanks so much for being here, Gemini, and I wish you a great month ahead.